Welcome. Hello guys, I'm Sherry Balke. I am a yarn addicted gardening artist that lives just west of Charlotte, North Carolina with my husband Tom and our old dog Eleanor, and I am addicted to all of the making. I love to knit. I knit every single day of my life. I love yarn. I love patterns. I love all the books. I love festivals. And today it rarely snows in Charlotte or just outside of Charlotte. And I am looking out the window as I speak to you thinking it's snowing outside, and what an incredible thing. On the very first episode of GardenHouseKnits that here in Charlotte, it's snowing. So a little bit about me. I learned how to knit at 38. I turned 60 this year, so I have been knitting 22 years. My mother, for her 60th birthday, I said, Mom, tell me what we can do for you for your 60th birthday, because we want it to be really special and I want it to be the best birthday ever. And she said, you know what, Sherry, I've been wanting to teach you to knit for years, and for years you've said no, and all I want is to go to the mountains. I'm lucky enough to have a dear friend that owns a mountain house, and she said, all I want to do is go to Leslie's mountain house, and I want to take you to the knitting store in Blowing Rock, and I want to teach you to knit. And so that's what we did. And Tom laughingly says it was the most expensive gift we ever gave anyone, ever. And here I am today. I did own a yarn store for 2 years, only 2 years. I found out almost immediately that I love people and I loved yarn and patterns and all of the things, but I was not meant to run a retail store. And I pretty much mourned closing Close Knit from the day that I closed until last year. And we looked into reopening Close Knit, and I came about that close to signing the lease. And I took one look at Tom and thought to myself, he's retiring in about that much time. And when he retires, that's not really what I want to do. But I do love to knit, and I do love people, and I love sharing what I make, exploring new ideas. And so that is what brought GardenHouseKnits to be. And I hope that you will join me on this journey, and we will have a lot of fun and explore all of these things that we are so lucky to have. Ravelry and great publications and festivals all around us. I'm just so excited. It's snowing outside. I can't believe it. It never snows here. And on the taping of this first podcast, it's snowing outside of my studio right now. I'm so excited. I feel like a little kid. We're not going to get a lot, but I'm just really, really excited that it snowed on the day that I'm doing my first official podcast. So I have a plan, and that is every single podcast to show you something old and a little something new, and maybe something borrowed from a friend. And every now and then we'll share something that made me a little bit blue, because not every make is a win. I have one sweater that I've had so many not so great things happen with it. I'm ready to rip it out and start over with the yarn, but not everything that we do is a complete win, and that's part of the journey. I hope that we will grow. I hope that I will learn a lot along the way. I hope to meet a lot of you, and I look forward to your comments, and I look forward to hearing everything that you can share with me, because I still feel very strongly that I want to learn something every single day of my life. Part of my why is to connect with people and share what I love. And so let's get started. This is, I have two of my something olds on today. It is my Clara sweater, and my shrug is called It's My Party. I'm going to start with it because when I close knit in 2010, I started this shrug, and I had I still have a very dear friend that is a knitwear designer. Her name is Champagne Maker. She is in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we keep up through Instagram. She's an amazing artist. We have so very much in common, but this is one of her patterns, and it's called It's My Party. It calls for a DK weight. I think it's DK weight. It might be sport, but I'm going to drag you out of the box pretty regularly, or at least show you how I step out of the box. This is knit out of Kid Silk Mohair, single strand. And when I knit it, I had friends that said, oh my God, Sherry, why are you knitting that out of the Kid Silk? It's not going to show the pattern. Such a neutral color. I have to tell you guys, not only is it my most worn knit, I get more compliments on this particular piece of clothing that I've made, or I love it. I love it. And all my friends said, why are you doing that? It's like cobweb, but it's so pretty. It's so feminine. And it's available on Ravelry. It's called It's My Party. And so I thought, what a fitting way to start this podcast with something old, and just share. You don't always have to follow a pattern. Sometimes just step out of the box, and it can work out. So this worked out very well for me. Like I said, it's my most worn knit, and I love it more than words can say. And I hope you'll look it up. I hope you'll check it out on Ravelry. Again, the pattern designer is Champagne Maker, a very sweet, dear friend of mine, and I love it. So that's my first something old. My second is from the book Perfectly Feminine Knits, and it's the Clara sweater. So I don't know if you can see their version. It's a little odd shape. It reminds me of the Swancho. Like, it's, you've got the sleeves but guys, this sweater, it's perfectly feminine. It is heavenly to touch. I knit it out of the Fibre Studio at Yarns to Die For is a indie dyer studio in Charlotte, North Carolina. My friend Debbie Davis owns the Fibre Studio, and I was lucky enough to work for her for several years. And while I was there, I knit this sweater out of her DK, her Studio DK. And I'll put in the show notes the colorway that I used. And I doubled it with one of her mohairs. So it has a tiny bit of a bloom to it. And I double stacked buttons and beaded the little buttons. So it's got a double stacked button with little beads in the center that kind of remind me of the center of a flower. And every time I wear it, I feel like I'm just wrapped up in garden branches. It's just an amazing project. And I waited, I think probably, I don't know, almost 15 years to make it. And so I really, really recommend that, you know, those things that we run across patterns all the time and we think, wow, you know, that thing is magic, and you wait and wait and wait to do it. So I saw this in this book. I carried the book when I owned Close Knit, and I am so glad that I finally sat down and took time to make it. So that is my number 2, something old. So I did want to share, last year I found 2 new yarns. They'll be my something news to share. I have also a little project. But this yarn is a Noro cotton blend. It is Compito. I have no words for this yarn. It is the prettiest colors. And every single colorway has just, as all of the Noro yarns do, there are just so many colors blended together. And I bought 2 skeins last spring, one in St. Louis, one I think in Nashville, and I made the cutest little scarfy thing. Let me grab it. So I just winged it. We were, started it, I think I started this one on a road trip to our friends. One of our best friends, their daughter got married in New Jersey. This was on my needles. I cast on, I think maybe 120 stitches, increased at the beginning of every row, and then I just winged it. I just absolutely did whatever I felt like doing. There are a couple yarn over rows. There are a couple, I think it's 5x5 like rib rows. There's a little bit of garter stitch, and it is just the most luscious, wonderful, all season yarn. It is not scratchy in the summer. It is not, it's just enough for our North Carolina winters. We don't get a lot of really extreme cold, but this yarn is just, it hits all of the check boxes for me. It's soft. It has amazing color. It's drapey, and it's just a lot of fun. So I highly recommend one ball. You can get one, I got this scarfy thing out of it, and I'll put down in the show notes. This one, the one ball was $45, totally worth it. I've washed it multiple times. I wear it in the summer when we go out to a restaurant. I'll just drape it over my shoulders. And then, like I said, in the winter, I cozy it up around my neck. So you should really, really maybe pick up a skein and dive in, because I did a second project. I think it was an Espace Tricot pattern, and it also took one, and it's just precious. I'm sending it to a friend in March for her birthday, so don't tell her. She knows who she is. But Noro Compito, that was my #1 yarn find last year. It may be that you know about it and it's only new to me, but I have to tell you, I'm absolutely smitten with this yarn. Again, not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I will put it in the show notes. So this was my #2 yarn that I fell in love with last year. This is Laine du Nord, N-O-R-D. It is their Poema Alpaca, and it has this glorious fade, and it is so incredibly soft. Like, I can't even begin to tell you. I have very sensitive skin, and so this for me, it just hits all of my love notes. It is squishy, and the colors, I've done 2 projects. I did an autumn shawl that is extremely long. Again, I think on that one I cast on 160, increased at either end, and alternated. It took 2. This one took 1. This is the European road trip shawl. It is, when I got the pattern, it was free. I'm not sure that it's still free. It's a Espace Tricot, but I can't wait to make another one because it is just, I love it. I wear it all the time, and the colors are just incredible. I have 2 friends that saw my 2 projects, and they now have projects on the needle. So when my friend Becky finishes her shawl and Glenda finishes her project, I will report back and maybe give you like a little viewing of what they did. So that's my number 2 yarn. It is Laine du Nord, N-O-R-D, Poema Alpaca, and it's heaven on earth. So, something borrowed. Mom, about maybe 3 months ago, she said, Sherry, do you remember when you were little and I made those matching vests for you and Amy when you were little? Well, I remember because I loved mine, and my older sister, she's 5 years older. I'm not really sure that she loved hers as much because I always wanted to wear what Amy wore, and you know, she didn't want to wear what I was wearing. But Mom said, hey, we should totally make that vest again. So I have my 2 granny squares done, and I am playing around with how I'm going to join them. And I'm thinking I'm doing little panels of knit down the sides here, and I'm going to do a simple strap. So I'll report back. But I really am in love with this. This yarn is no longer available. It is also a Noro. I'm not Noro obsessed, but I had this yarn, and it has such a beautiful bloom that I thought it would be perfect for, there's Ella. She hears the truck. I thought it would be really perfect for this. I love how the colors of the Noro folds out. And I don't know if you can tell, it's Noro, it was called Cocheron, and it has the most beautiful little halo to it. So borrowed Mom's idea, and hopefully I'll have it done. I'm going to Modern Knitting Daily, their event in Nashville, and I'm hoping that I'll be wearing it there. And I got some great beads from my local bead store in Charlotte. It's Beads Inc., and I'm hoping to make like a lanyard to wear with it that just kind of wraps over and folds. So I'm really excited about this. It's my mom means a lot to me, and I really loved that vest, and so I'm kind of glad I'm trying to recreate it. Another thing that I found, gosh, it's probably been 2 months ago now. I'm blown away. I might have to flip the camera around just so you guys can see. It's not going to let me flip it around. Let me see. It's pouring down snow. I can't believe it. I'm just like, I can't believe it's snowing. It's snowing. So I'll try to get a shot of the snow right after we finish. And so you can see it's really coming down. I'm really excited. Like I said, it's my first podcast, knitting, and it's snowing. So that's a great thing. So I found an artist on Instagram. How many of us find a new pattern designer on Instagram? I love Instagram. Use it for all the right reasons: inspiration, keeping up with dear friends. And this designer popped up, and she's from, I think she's Norwegian. I bought her pattern. It's called Macro. I have it on the needles now. I'll show that on our next visit. But the sweater that she had on the post that I saw said, you have to see these fabulous buttons my friend in Chile made. And so I'm a gardener, and I immediately went online and looked up this beautiful young woman's button collection. She has large buttons and little tiny small buttons, and I kind of went crazy. I went down the rabbit hole. But I ordered all of these buttons, and they could not be more beautiful. I mean, they are absolutely the cardstock that the buttons come on. I'm giving multiple sets away, but just every bit of her presentation is amazing. And she actually sends a little card that tells the flower she grows and dries that are contained in these little buttons. So the stitch markers, I ordered 2 sets. I can't tell you. I get so excited. I've been using them, and they're so beautiful. I mean, every time I come around the row, I think, oh my God. I can't begin to say enough about this amazing young woman that has this business in Chile. And I found her through one of her friends on Instagram. So it's just an amazing world that we live in. I'm so grateful every day. The sweater right here, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce her name correctly. It's Titi Lutzek. I'll have it in the show notes. I have a friend that used to own Black Mountain Yarn Shop, and Donna had this sweater on, and she and a group of her friends all go to Rhinebeck every year, and they all wore this sweater. So of course I went down that rabbit hole too. I've made 2 and have one on the needles that Donna shared on Instagram. And so it's amazing, these things that, you know, we're lucky enough to be able to find from one another. I had never knit with Loft, and I had this in my stash for probably, gosh, I don't even know. I have no idea how long I had the yarn, but I had the yarn forever, and I just never started anything out of it because I thought it felt kind of scratchy and toothy. The stitch definition of this Loft is just unbelievable. And I have to say it's a little scratchy, but not too terribly bad. And I wear this sweater all the time. The other sweater that I did, this is held just the Loft. I also did a little reindeer sweater out of Loft, but I held it doubled. I marled it with the Knitting for Olive, and I did not like the green. The Loft in the green was a little too gold, and so I picked a Knitting for Olive, kind of a blue-green, and I marled the 2, and it just cut that yellow out. And with my complexion, I just don't need any of that, you know, too much gold. I need more of the cooler tones. But I love both projects. So now on my needles, I won't finish it probably before Modern Knitting Daily, but I'm not sure, because I've got that macro sweater on the needles, doubled mohair, and like I said, I'll show you that next time. But the Root to Rise. So 3 projects I found on Instagram because Donna from Black Mountain Yarn Shop, former owner, Doodle Knitter, had these fabulous sweaters on, and I thought, "Oh, I'm so glad that I found that." And you know, that's what I hope that we can do too, is bring you different projects. So with that said, this is one that I'm getting ready to start. It is the Milano sweater. I will have it in the show notes, but I think that it is precious for spring. And I love the striping. And I had a sweater quantity of this loft that's that soft, kind of like it's just a very soft kind of blue. And I had lots of the cream left over. So I just thought on a chilly March day, that might be a really fun thing. And kind of like softer colors. I knit to wear colors of the season. So last month I knit the cutest, most precious little vest out of yarn that I got in Charleston when we were down there for Christmas, and I bought a little love pin, so I'll try to drop that in somewhere so you guys can see that. But this is getting ready to go on the needles, so I'm kind of having a moment with the loft. That's 4 projects now that we have going in loft. I have one sad story, so just a minute, hold on. I thought I had it over here. This is the Magnolia Chunky Cardigan, and I had a sweater quantity of some ALLLL yarn, and I doubled it with Knitting for Olive mohair, and I had these glorious buttons. I love buttons. So I set out to make the Magnolia Chunky Cardigan. Knit, humming along, and got gauge, perfectly on gauge. It's monstrous. It's so huge. So that's number 1. My number 1 thing that went wrong. Number 2 is I bought these amazing antique buttons from the button lady. I don't even know her name, but she is at Rhinebeck, and I bought this band of buttons. It said that they were from the 1800s, and guys, I soaked the sweater to block it, and 2 of the buttons literally disintegrated. And I mean, there was no salvage. There was one just completely fell apart. I was just devastated because the whole planning of the sweater was around these antique buttons. So lesson learned, when you use the antique buttons, somebody actually said to me that I should have removed the buttons. And I'm just not going to do that. So it was a big lesson for me because the buttons were very expensive, but they were so beautiful. And I can't show you because they fell apart. So that was my something blue. And yeah, it says that they were from 1860 and they were not inexpensive. So it was a big lesson. And so now what I'm trying to decide is I'm not going to frog this. I love it. Sunday mornings over my pajamas, and it is a precious pattern. But mine just, I think, the yarn grew. I'll put down in the show notes what yarns I held doubled. I love to wear it, but it's really big, and for the investment to only have like a house sweater, it was kind of a bummer, but live and learn. So I can't recommend the pattern enough, but for me, it turned out a little bit big, even with gauge. So one lesson, try it on as you go. Those barber cords are our friends, and I did not take the time to do that. And now I have this beautiful sweater, but it's not quite exactly, you know, what I had hoped it would be. And anyway, so on to the next thing, right? Just moving on. I have one more new thing to show you because like I said, I knit for the seasons, and I love Leslie Friend. I don't know if you guys follow her on Instagram and on her YouTube channel, but she came out last year with a precious shrug. It's called Friend to Friend is the little shrug. And I made mine out of Beatrix, and I love it. And what I love so much about it is I added another, I'll put in the show notes, but I added an extra row here in the neck because I love things that cozy up around my neck. I love that it has this little, I guess you would call it like a faux seam down the shoulder. But what I love about this shrug, other than it being squishy and wonderful, it lays flat right here. So when I wear it, a lot of the shrugs, they like bunch up. This particular shrug on me just lays so beautifully. So I feel like I can add a necklace or a pin and not have to worry about it, you know, gathering up. But that was a real favorite project. I can't wait to show you guys the snow when we wrap up. So I'll be wearing this in March. I love spring, and I think that this is just the perfect thing to throw on to go to yoga on a chilly March morning when it's not terribly cold, but it's cold enough that you really want something on your shoulders. I do want to say that we have a whole stationery line coming out soon, and if you like and subscribe, you will be entered into a drawing for one of our new paper products. So we have notepads, and we have bookmarks with rulers on the back. We have little tiny gift tags for our hand knits that we give as gifts. We have prints, and I have a small Etsy shop that in the future I'll share. And I hope that what you are doing today, you have enjoyed sitting here and maybe exploring a few new things. And I look forward to this journey that I've started, and I can't wait to meet you guys. All right, thanks. Bye. It's barely coming down, but it's coming. Is there anything better than a snow? Just a quiet, snowy morning in North Carolina.